It is Monday. It's September 25th, 2023. Episode 358 of the Tannin J-Man Show is live and on the air on the ISC Sports Network as well as the ISC Sports Network Twitter X page, their YouTube channel, and the Tannin J-Man Show Facebook page. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Thanks for listening. If you're listening to this on your favorite podcast platform, please give us a 5-star rating and review. We really appreciate it. Really helps us out. With all that said, I got a grinning, more than usual J-Man to my right. How's it going, J-Man?
Pretty good. Life couldn't be better.
Cubs are hanging in there.
Yeah.
Dolphins are scoring 70 points.
Forget about the Cubs.
Oh boy.
Yeah, we'll get into that one.
Do we have to?
I would like to. It's not very often one of my sports teams beats yours, believe it or not. So I am basking in this one.
I can't say what I really want to say, or we're gonna get in a lot of trouble by the FCC. So, which is probably a good thing, actually. Man. But before we get into any of that, Birdie or Bogey, I was able to get a stroke on you last week, but you're still up 3 for the year. So what do you got for me tonight?
Your favorite quarterback in the NFL, old Kermit the Frog himself, Patrick Mahomes, is the fastest player to reach 25,000 passing yards in NFL history at 83 games. Who did he pass?
Ooh, that's a really good question.
Threw for 25,000 passing yards in 90 games. So old Patty Mahomes did it 7 games quicker. Birdie Bogey is brought to you by Arlington Public House. Arlington Public House is upscale cuisine and cocktails with a casual atmosphere located 703 Main Street in Rochester. $2 whole smoked wings and $1 off domestic brewskis. Every Monday night over the weekend, they had fried zucchini bites, hand-breaded seasoned zucchini fried to a delicious golden brown served with house-made dill ranch. And on Friday, they had apple bacon bourbon scallops, 7 seared sea scallops topped with bacon bourbon jam placed on a bed of thin sliced apple marinated cabbage and finished with diced apple and bacon bits. So head on down there to Arlington Public House and get yourself some fancy cuisine in a small town. Yes,
you won't be disappointed. Like you said, it's fancy cuisine in a small town. That's a good way to put it because it's got a great menu. You'll find something you like. So, well, J-Man, you want to give a Cubs update? We're in the last week of the season.
Man, final week of the year. Hard to believe it's already here. And there will be many fan bases on the edge of their seat this week over these final 5 or 6 games that these teams will be playing, especially the wild card teams. National League, we have the Chicago Cubs hanging on by a thread. A game up over the Miami Marlins, 2.5 up over the Cincinnati Reds for that final wild card spot. They are actually tied with the Arizona Diamondbacks for that second seed, thanks to the New York Yankees beating them today in their final home game of the year. And they were eliminated from playoff contention over the weekend. But it's nice to see them still care and go out there and win some ball games. The problem the Cubs are in is they don't own the tiebreaker over anyone. Besides the San Francisco Giants, and the Giants are 5 out, so they're done. They don't own the tiebreaker over the Diamondbacks, Marlins, Reds. So this 1-game lead the Cubs have over the Marlins is essentially even at this point. And unfortunately for the Cubs, they didn't do enough good work against the bad part of their schedule, playing the Pirates and the Rockies, that they couldn't extend their lead a little bit. And now they have to go to Atlanta for 3 and then to Milwaukee for 3. All the Marlins get, I believe, who do the Marlins play this week? They're at they're at the New York Mets and at the Pittsburgh Pirates. So it's not easy for the Marlins either. The Reds have the Guardians for 2, and maybe they play the Pirates over the weekend. Anyway, Reds are 2.5 out, so they're in a precarious spot anyway. Not done yet, but They need a lot to go their way in order to get in. Cubs this past week, I said they needed to go 5-1. They went 4-2. They did not play very well against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Then followed it up with they there are very few, if any, must-sweep series, and they faced one over the weekend against a Rockies team that's 43 games under 500. They're 40 games, almost 40 games under on the road.
Yeah, they lost their 99th game yesterday, which is a franchise record.
Really? They haven't lost a hundo yet, huh? They are 40 games behind the LA Dodgers I'm seeing right now. So they were eliminated a long time ago. But the Cubs did find a way to sweep that one. They did it in fairly unconvincing fashion, unfortunately. But they did do it. So now hopefully they get some good thoughts going through their brain, get a little momentum. Braves don't have much to play for. They are 3.5 games up. So I guess they do have a little bit to play for. 3.5 games up to clinch the home field advantage throughout the playoffs in the National League. The benefit the Cubs have this week is they will not have to face the Braves' top 3 pitchers, Spencer Strider, Charlie Morton, Max Fried. The problem the Cubs have is Atlanta's offense is one of the best we've seen in the past 20, 25 years. So preventing them from scoring runs is significantly more difficult to do than actually scoring runs off them. So hopefully the Cubs can find a way to win a few games this week and give themselves a chance. But I have my doubts, and this will be the J-Man's Book and prediction of the week.
Getting it out of the way early.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't think the Cubs will be able to do enough to make the postseason this year. Game up. They need a lot to go their way. I know they have a little bit better playoff odds than the Marlins, mainly because they're a game up. But as I said, they don't have the tiebreaker over them. So those series in May do count against it seems like the Marlins, contrary to popular belief that games in May are not needed as much. But they are absolutely needed, and it's rearing its ugly head. Now, maybe the Cubs get hot against 2 really good teams. But I just, the way the Cubs have played the past couple weeks, I just don't see it happening, unfortunately. J-Man's Book of Prediction of the Week brought to you by Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance Agent Travis Watchering for life, home, auto, business, renters, workers' comp, and farm insurance. Contact Travis at 219-869-4561. His email is travis.watchering@infb.com. Elsewhere around baseball, we have a hot division race out there in the AL West. The Texas Rangers, after having a brutal stretch here a couple weeks ago, they found themselves a couple games out of first place, are now back in first place, 2.5 games up over the Houston Astros, who just got swept at home by the Kansas City Royals over the weekend. That's a real bad time to get swept by the second worst team in the American League. Seattle's right on their tail as well. So Seattle's a half game out of a playoff spot. Houston has that final spot currently. The Twins have clinched the AL Central. Yankees, as I said, have been eliminated. But that's a hot race. As I said, half game up. Toronto just 2 weeks ago, their playoff odds were at 13%. They are now at over 90%. So they have played some really good baseball down the stretch. Also a good division race there in the AL East. Baltimore is 2.5 games up over the Tampa Bay Rays. But elsewhere around baseball, all the divisions, the NL Central has not been clinched yet. Milwaukee's magic number is 1, so that will happen probably by tomorrow, or I don't know if the Brewers play tonight. Maybe they do. But the division races, besides the AL East and AL West, are all clinched, and they kind of get a rest this week. But hopefully I'm wrong on my book of prediction, but unfortunately I'm never wrong. So.
Oh yeah, never. I'm gonna ask your wife off air to see if you're never wrong.
She's incredibly biased, so do not ask her.
So I got our predictions up for the MLB season. Pretty interesting. I hadn't looked at them for a while. We were way off in a lot of categories.
I believe it.
AL East, you had the order of finish being the Yankees winning the division, Blue Jays, Rays, Orioles, Red Sox. Mm-hmm. In Central, you had the Twins, White Sox, Guardians, Royals, Tigers.
Yikes.
And in the West, you had the Astros, Mariners, Angels, Rangers, A's.
Oh,
in your playoff in the AL, you had the Yankees, Blue Jays, Twins, White Sox, Astros, Mariners, and Angels.
I was wishful thinking on the Angels' part.
Yeah. And then in NL East, you had the Braves, Phillies, Mets, Marlins, Nationals.
It's not too far off.
Central, you had Cardinals, Cubs, Brewers, Pirates, Reds.
Okay.
West, you had Padres, Dodgers, Diamondbacks, Giants, Rockies. And you had the Braves, Phillies, Mets, Cardinals, Cubs, Padres, Dodgers all making the playoffs.
Pretty bad.
Your AL MVP was Shohei Ohtani.
Probably going to happen.
Your Cy Young was Luis Castillo.
Not going to happen.
NL MVP was Ronald Acuna Jr.
That's going to happen.
And your Cy Young was Spencer Strider.
There's a chance that happens, but probably not.
World Series, Padres over Mariners.
That's embarrassing.
And then mine, AL East, I had the Yankees, Blue Jays, Rays, Red Sox, Orioles. Whiffed on the Orioles, really bad. Central, I had the Twins, Guardians, White Sox, Tigers, Royals. West, I had the Astros, Mariners, Angels, Rangers, A's. And I had the Yankees, Blue Jays, Rays, Twins, Guardians, Astros, Mariners making the playoffs. NL, I had the NL East, Braves, Phillies, Mets, Marlins, Nationals. Central, I had the Cardinals, Brewers, Cubs, Pirates, Reds. In the West, I had the Padres, Dodgers, Giants, Diamondbacks, Rockies, with the Braves, Cardinals, Brewers, Cubs, Padres, Dodgers, and Giants all making the playoffs. AL MVP and Cy Young, I had Shohei Ohtani for both. MVP of the NL, I had Juan Soto, Cy Young, Spencer Strider, and I had the Padres over the Twins in the World Series.
Yeah, Padres will go down as one of the more disappointing.
They let us down.
Yeah, disappointing teams in recent memory with all that talent they have. But from what I've read and what other people are hearing, the culture there is so bad that it's not overly surprising. But
happens sometimes when you get some big egos.
That is true. That is very true. So,
but yeah.
Only next week this time we'll know playoffs and.
Well, and no matter how it ends, you can't be too disappointed or mad at the Cubs because they did what you wanted them to do, gave you meaningful baseball in September.
Yeah, I said last week that I tweeted all I wanted in March was them to be playing meaningful baseball in September. Why am I so pissed off? That madness has subsided a little bit. Now I'm just kind of happy they're in this position, and if they miss it, they miss it. If they make it, great. If they did clinch an over 500 record, they have only had 2 losing seasons in the last 9 years. So that is, we're still in the golden age Chicago Cubs.
Yeah, that's a good point. Very good point.
I ultimately want them to make it. And if they don't, David Ross gets fired. That would be the greatest joy of my life because he is holding them back a little bit. But, yeah.
Well, what do you want to talk about next, NFL or college football?
You want to get educated first.
Oh yeah, I really need it. I feel like lost a lot of brain cells yesterday.
On this day in 1926, the NHL granted franchises to Chicago and Detroit, the Chicago Blackhawks and the Detroit Red Wings. 2
of the most historic franchises in the NHL. Red Wings have been a little more successful than the Blackhawks, but the Blackhawks have had some good runs too, especially in the last decade to 12 years.
In 3 years, they will be celebrating their 100-year anniversary, so that'll be a pretty big year for both. Mm-hmm. On this day in 1926, who won the PGA Championship men's golf?
Sam Snead.
Walter Hagen.
Shoot.
I've actually heard of that guy.
Yep.
On this day in 1934, Lou Gehrig played his 150th. Start over. Lou Gehrig played his 1,500th consecutive game.
It's a lot of games.
On this day in 1949, despite 71 injuries, the New York Yankees maintained first place all season until the Red Sox moved into a tie for first place. 71 injuries.
Well, it feels like they've had 71 injuries this year, but definitely didn't get first place.
Yeah. On this day in the smallest Yankee Stadium crowd until today, I don't know if you saw any of that.
I did not.
They announced the attendance at 41,000, and they were very lucky to get 400 in there today. The smallest Yankee Stadium crowd on this day in 1966, 413 people saw the White Sox win 4-1. On this day in 1981, Nolan Ryan threw his 5th career no-hitter.
Incredible.
We're in the 80s here. I'm just scanning for a Mike Tyson one because I'm sure there is. On this day in Not a whole lot of great ones here. On this day in 2000, American basketball player Vince Carter with his legendary dunk over 7'2" Frederick Weiss in the 2000 Olympics, known in France as Le Dunk de la Mort. The dunk of death is what that translates to.
Sydney, Australia. Never forget that.
The dunk of death. In 2005 on this day, who won the President's Cup?
U.S. Yeah, they've never lost it. So,
well, who were their top three guys in that one?
05? Let's go with Tiger Woods.
Nope.
Oh. Mickelson?
Mickelson's one of them.
05.
All three of these guys went unbeaten.
Oh, man. Who would have been a good American 05? A lot of good players. I'm thinking of foreign players like Ernie and VJ. They're foreign. They would have been on the international team. I don't know.
John Gross lookalike.
Oh, Jim Furyk.
And Chris DeMarco.
Oh, yeah. DeMarco had a good run there for a couple of years. Always forget about him.
Who won?
That's the interesting thing to me. Like with Ryder Cup and President's Cup, you'll get some guys that are on a few teams in a row, and then they just fade off, and they're like never on a team again. Whereas then you got guys like McIlroy who became good so young. He's been on Europe's team now. I don't know, 2012, 14, 16, 18. This will be his seventh one.
Dang. On this day in 2016, who won the Tour Championship, men's golf?
2016 Tour Championship. Man, I have no idea. McIlroy.
Book it. You got it right.
All right.
That's going to do it for On This Day this week.
And that is the On This Day, which is brought to you by, like it is every week, Mooney Woodcrafts. Mooney Woodcrafts is a veteran-owned and operated woodcraft shop based out of Texas with Indiana grassroots. They provide 100% hand-cut custom designs that fit your needs, and their pieces are a great addition to any home, office, or man cave. You can see some of the recently completed projects by visiting them on Instagram or on Facebook at Mooney Woodcrafts. And if you let them know the Tan and J-Man Show sent you, you get 15% off your order. So get that order in for your favorite football team, basketball team, baseball team. If you're in the military or have a loved one or a friend or another family member in the military, get that sign order in. Thad can pretty much do any sign you want. That's what I'm trying to say. So let them know the Tan and J-Man Show sent you. You'll get 15% off your order. All right. Well, let's talk NFL, shall we?
Do
her. 3 winners, and I don't even know who starts this week.
I start the winners.
All right.
Yeah. My first winner, the top 3 teams, in my opinion, in the AFC. You got the Bills, who are pretty good. You got the Chiefs. And then you got the Miami Dolphins. All 3 teams just murdered their opponents over the weekend. You know, Commanders were 2-0, a weak 2-0 in my opinion. The Bills went in there and won by 34. Chiefs took care of business against the very, very bad Chicago Bears.
Took their foot off the gas too, I want to say, by the way, everybody out there.
The Dolphins did not take their foot off the gas, and they
should have put up more.
They honestly could have put up more.
They should have just done it.
And honestly, it didn't even feel like they were really running up the score either, because they had 350 yards rushing yesterday. Dolphins scored 70 points, which is 2 points shy of the NFL record. You knew it was going to probably be a long day when you heard beforehand that PS2 was going to shadow Tyreek Hill all over the field. And third play of the game, 2 players bite and go straight for Robbie Chosen, and Tyreek Hill's running wild for a 56-yard touchdown. That was a pretty bad way to start. Dolphins are without 2 running backs, so their third-round pick, Devon Achane, he said he wants it to pronounce Achane today, had 18 carries for over 200 yards. He ended up scoring 4 touchdowns. Raheem Mostert, you probably had to smile a little bit at Mostert tearing up yesterday.
I'm happy for him because he was a player I actually worked a little bit with at Purdue. Mm-hmm. Very nice guy, so he deserves all the success in the world. He really does.
Yeah. I am very happy, and I did not want them to do this when all the rumors were going around either, that they did not sign Dalvin Cook. Chris Brooks, their fourth-string running back, had more yards yesterday than Dalvin Cook does heading into week 4 total. Or trade for Jonathan Taylor. Tua was good. They didn't need him to do a whole lot, and he still went 22 for 25, 300 yards, 4 touchdowns. They were without Jalen Waddle. Offensive line has been a revelation this year. They've given up 1 sack all season in 3 games. Tua got hit once yesterday, but I don't even think he fell to the ground on the hit. As I said, 350 yards rushing. Tua processes the field quicker than I think any quarterback we've ever seen in the history of the NFL. I'm not even trying to be hyperbolic with that. He processes it so quick, and when I go from watching him to watching Justin Fields, who holds onto the ball for 10 seconds, it's night and day. I'm not trying to rip on Justin Fields too much, Bears fans, so I'm sorry for that. But that was a shellacking, and they started 3-0 last year, and I said, man, this feels real. Well, this legitimately feels real. They're looking back, it was pretty fluky to start 3-0 last year. This does not feel like a fluke. They have one of the best offense. They have the best offense I've seen since I've been watching the Dolphins. Speed. Mike McDaniel making his adjustments in the offseason, and they've cut down on pre-snap penalties. They've cut down on so many other stupid things they were doing. So credit Mike McDaniel. And his scheme is – they are running stuff that we've never seen in the NFL before, where they're having Tyreek Hill line up like right behind the tight end and motion out wide, and it's making the linebacker and the defensive back communicate while the ball's being snapped. And it has just been absolutely electric, and I am having the most fun I've ever had watching the Miami Dolphins. So
the only thing, and I'm not putting this out in the universe. I'm not. But this is how good the Dolphins look in the first 3 games, and it's off my own eyes yesterday until I just literally couldn't take it anymore midway through the 4th and switched to red zone. But
I can't believe you lasted that long.
I love misery, Josh. I love misery.
I'm right there with you.
The only thing I can see slowing them down is maybe not even an injury to Tyreek Hill. It would be an injury to Tua. That's the only thing because, yeah, Tyreek is fastest guy in the NFL, arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL.
Not even the fastest guy on his team. Devon Achane is faster.
Well, okay. Well, that's good to know, but that's what I was trying to say. You take him out. They didn't have Waddle yesterday, but they didn't need him. But there's other guys. You have to worry about Waddle. You have to worry about Achane. You have to worry about Mostert. They got speed. Even Chosen, he's an idiot, but he's faster than fast. I mean, it's just speed everywhere. And I saw yesterday an extremely fast team and an extremely slow, unathletic team out there. And I'll get into my other rant when I get into my loser category. But, yeah, the Dolphins put on a clinic. They could do no wrong yesterday. And it was dang impressive. It's
been 22 years of crap where I just wanted to be competitive. And, they've had a few years, including last year, making the playoffs. This feels different than I've ever felt. Even heading into the year, I felt good about it. And then you were actually higher on them in our preseason predictions than I was. And then after watching the first 3 weeks, now the teams they've played are a combined, what are they? 1-2 and 7.
They'll have a tough one this week.
Two of those are on the road, so I feel good about that. Tough one this week against the Buffalo Bills, and they'll be out there to say, hey, don't forget about us. The only thing I can see stopping the Dolphins offense right now, and the league will adjust. So it'll be interesting come week 7, week 8, once the league does adjust to see, what kind of counters they have to their system. But when they run this well, it's hard to really think they'll slump a whole lot. I'm enjoying it right now. While also I was wanting them to yank Tua at halftime because I just didn't even want, because I figured your defense probably not going to give up 22 points in the second half. Just take him out now. And then they got up 42-13. It's like, okay, take him out. And they ended up keeping him in a lot longer than I would have. But luckily he didn't get hurt. But yeah, feel good.
So did you do all 3 of your winners? Or was that still your one winner? I'm kind of confused there.
It's just my one winner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, my first winner is Arizona Cardinals. Mm-hmm. This is a team, maybe they're better than I thought they were going to be. They should be 2-1 right now. They should have beat the Giants. And maybe it was one of those cases where the Cowboys just figured they could snooze walk, sleepwalk in and then come out with a win. Cardinals punched him in the mouth from the beginning, and the Cowboys could never recover. And it was fun to watch.
Yeah, the Cowboys were without 3 starting offensive linemen yesterday. But again, Dak is one of those guys that I just don't. He's a Kirk Cousins.
He's got his plateau. He's not going to get above it.
I think Dak's good enough to get you to the playoffs. He's never going to win you a Super Bowl, unless his defense gets really hot. But I'm not a big believer.
Mm-hmm.
So, my second winner, Green Bay Packers. They were helped out by Derek Carr hurting his shoulder and leaving, but they came back from 17 down, scored 18 unanswered, and they were helped by a missed field goal as time expired there. But they find themselves 2-1. They haven't really played an impressive brand of football so far, but hey, that division doesn't look that great right now. So,
and they might have themselves a young quarterback.
Yeah.
So far so good. My next winner is Indianapolis Colts.
Sure.
Went into Baltimore, a game I gave them no chance, and came out with a win. It was an ugly one, overtime win, but it was an ugly weather game. And I thought they were toast when Gardner Minshew got a safety on himself. And I still don't really know how they pulled out that win yesterday, to be honest. They just found a way to do it.
He Orlovsky'd himself.
He did.
Helped by it was bad weather game, but even though it was a 60-yard, 59-yard field goal,
he usually nails that thing.
Justin Tucker missed that, and he left it short too, which was a surprising thing. But yeah, and with it being a bad weather game, you thought that would help out Baltimore with their run game and all that, and it didn't. So.
And Matt Gay, kudos to him. 5 field goals made for the Colts. Colt fans were up in arms when they gave him that big contract in the offseason, but he just won you a game over a really good opponent. And I know it's only 3 weeks, and you don't want to try to over-exaggerate one way or the other, but Colts are 2-1, and they're top of the AFC South right now.
My last winner, Cleveland Browns. They took it to the Tennessee Titans. Myles Garrett, 3.5 sacks. Did you see video? They literally had 2 tight ends on Myles Garrett at all times, just following him. And I have never seen a defensive player. He would motion to the other side, the 2 tight ends would follow. Motion to the other side, the 2 tight ends would follow him. And he did it so much, one play, that it caused them a delay of game because they couldn't get set. I have never seen a defensive end impact a game like that. And he still had 3.5 sacks, so he's an absolute beast. Hate Deshaun Watson though.
All my winners are taken, so I'm just going off the cuff and taking the last one. I'll take the Detroit Lions.
Sure.
Beat a Falcon team that was off to a nice 2-0 start at home and only let the Falcons score 6 points. I feel like the Lions needed a statement win like that after coming off a brutal loss the week before, which saw them come from behind and then lose in overtime to Seattle. Then they got a big in-division game coming up this week at Lambeau Field. So I think this Lions team's a little different than Lions teams in the past. So it's good for them.
I agree. I think you start off the losers then.
I do. My first loser, Sean Payton.
Oh.
And I will go, I like Sean Payton. I still think he's the right guy for the Denver Bronco job. But act like a man after you take that beating yesterday. Don't do what you did and cut a member of the media off. Stand up there, take it like a man, answer the guy's question, because you're the one 6 weeks ago that came out and were calling Nathaniel Hackett and the staff's job last year of the Broncos the worst coaching job in the history of the NFL. Dude, you just got beat by 50 points, and your team gave up a 70-burger.
They gave up in the third quarter, too. It was over.
Oh, yeah, and you're sitting up there, okay, you're pissed off, you're embarrassed. Who wouldn't be? The fans are. Everybody associated with the Broncos is. But do your job, because if I'm a player and you're watching film today and I'm getting cussed out by my coach, I should ask him, well, what did you do when you were asked by the media about the game? You didn't want to stand up. You cast blame on everybody else. I mean, just stand up and say, that was me and the coaches. We got to do a better job. And we didn't really see that. That just really ticked me off. And, he's got shut up. But he put himself in that predicament 6 weeks ago by flapping his mouth. He shouldn't have done it. And now they're pretty embarrassing, 0-3. I mean, they're the laughing stock of the league, and as they should be. I
know he was working TV and everything, but it probably felt pretty good for Tua to to go out and play that kind of game because September 14th or 15th last year when he was doing a TV spot on Colin Cowherd, Sean Payton said, Dolphins, I think Tua will be benched due to performance, and I think Teddy Bridgewater gives them a better chance to be a good football team. So that was probably sweet revenge for Tua if he cares about that.
I think a lot of guys around the league, coaches, players, will probably have some receipts from stuff he said this past year. Mike McDaniel grew up a Broncos fan, was a ball boy. Came from the Shanahan tree. He's probably still a little ticked off. He didn't even get an interview a couple years ago. And Vic Fangio's probably still a little ticked off. He got fired, even though it's a different regime and everything. So I get it. I get the fire that the Dolphins came out with yesterday because I texted you before the game. I thought the Broncos were going to come out and play desperate. Mm-hmm. Didn't play desperate at all yesterday. So
yeah, you texted me good luck, and I tried everything in my power, and I reserved myself a little bit, and I almost said you're the team that needs luck. You're the one that needs luck, but that usually backfires on me. So I'm glad I didn't say it because Dolphins probably would have lost 70-20 yesterday. But it just Broncos right now, and Garrett Bowles said it in the post game. He said, I've been here 7 years. I'm not going to lose. Mm-hmm. There's a culture issue there that Sean Payton's got to figure out. Yep. Right now. And he said no one's getting fired. 3 weeks in, it'd be hard to even. Although giving up 70 points is dang near fireable, even though it's only week 3. But
I was surprised Vance Joseph didn't get fired today, just because I don't know if it would have done any good anyways after 3 weeks in. But you give up 70 points and your defense is giving up in third quarter. I mean, they missed 24 tackles yesterday.
Yeah, I actually have a stat here that I favorited on Twitter. Raheem Mostert forced 11 missed tackles. Devon Achane forced 9 missed tackles, and Chris Brooks, who came in the fourth quarter, 5 missed tackles.
Yeah, it's just embarrassing, man. There's so many just stats I've seen the last 24 hours that are just humiliating. I can't tell you how many people reached out to me to check on my well-being yesterday.
Dolphins set 13 franchise records yesterday. So it was.
It's just. I feel like the players don't care and aren't respecting the. I'm pointing to behind me for everybody that's listening because I have some Bronco banners, but they don't expect the horse on the side of their helmet. They're not playing hard. It's just there's nobody stepping up in leadership. Everybody with that C on their jersey should be ripped off, and really. If I hear one more person in the media blame something on Russell Wilson, I'm going to flip. Because, okay, the offense wasn't spectacular yesterday, but he's not the problem right now. He's really not. It is the defense. It is the defense. It's the defense. It's the defense. And I don't know. Thank God they got the Bears this week, but that might be the worst game in NFL history.
So. Yeah. 70 points is rock bottom.
The Bears are or the Broncos are favored, J-Man.
After giving up 70 points.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Giving up 70 points seems like rock bottom, but you lose to the Bears, that is rock bottom.
Yeah, Christmas Day last year against the Rams seemed like rock bottom. This is way worse. Yeah. This is way worse. Way worse.
My first loser, Jacksonville Jaguars. Yeah. I never bought the hype. Everyone was putting them in the Super Bowl, including the guy sitting next to me. Peter King.
I'm not giving up yet. Not giving up yet.
They got destroyed. Gave up 37 points to the bad Houston Texans team. CJ Stroud looks for real, though. They
gave up a kick return to a fullback.
They gave a kick return to a fullback. Trevor Lawrence isn't playing that good of football. Never bought the hype, and only 3 weeks in. Maybe they can turn it around, but it's a bad enough division that they can turn it around, fortunately for them.
Right. My next loser is the Dallas Cowboys. Mm-hmm. I know it's a Cardinals winner. I mean, I was ready to crown them as one of the top 3 best teams in the league if they would have just take care of business yesterday, but no, sir. No, sir. And I saw some of the funniest videos of Cowboy fans burning jerseys and snapping flags outside their house and stuff.
And they wonder why we hate the Cowboys.
Yep.
Minnesota Vikings, they are 0-3. They won how many one possession games last year? 9 or 10? Well, they're 0-3 this year.
Yep.
And they were helped out by the Chargers, who went for it on 4th and 1 at their own 28 with 1:40 left. And Kirk Cousins throws a pick. It wasn't his fault. It bounced off a guy's hands. But 0-3, They have lost 7 or 8 fumbles so far, which through 3 games is absurd. Speaking of the Chargers real quick, if the Chargers would have lost that game, I think Brandon Staley would have been fired.
What an idiot. He is the worst at managing a game.
Yeah, I think he would have been fired. But Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson left with an injury. It sounds like it's just cramp, so he's fine. But 0-3 for the Vikes in a winnable division.
And my last loser, I said Sean Payton for my first loser. My last loser is the Denver Broncos. He gave up 70 daggone points in 700, and I don't even remember the number of yards.
It was an NFL record for all-purpose yards, but 726 total yards.
Yeah, just absurd. Absurd. And you scored 20 points, and you still lost by 50. Oh, my God. It was like Madden is worse than playing Madden video games. And it's 70 burger in the NFL is like 100 in college. And I mean, I felt like the Broncos were a team getting paid to come into Miami just to play. They were the Ball State playing the Georgia Bulldogs yesterday, and it looked like that on the field.
I was going to say the fourth quarter kind of felt like a highly ranked FBS school against an FCS school. My last loser, Josh McDaniels and the Vegas Raiders.
I can get on board with that one.
Did you see what happened last night?
I saw bits and pieces of the game. I fell asleep pretty early.
So, Raiders are down 8. I think there was 3 minutes left. They had a 4th and 5 at the Steelers, I believe 7. And they're down 8. Instead of going for it, McDaniels decided to kick a field goal. And I don't think the Raiders got the ball back. They're the first team since the 2-point conversion was introduced to the NFL to have not gone for it in that situation. So Jimmy G got hurt and nicked up per usual, but
concussion protocol,
and he also got his leg twisted pretty good. Old McDaniels getting late already there in Vegas.
You would think for all the years he took off after 2010 and was an assistant everywhere, you think he would have learned how to study and become a better head coach. He's the exact same head coach he was back then in 09 and 10. He hasn't learned anything.
I don't think we will learn pick'em until after the Philadelphia game tonight. If Philadelphia wins in Tampa Bay, I'm pretty sure I win. If Tampa Bay wins, you win because you picked Tampa Bay only for 1. But I believe you will have enough points. It's pretty close, though.
We missed some big ones. Oh, my gosh.
We missed some big ones, but we also got some big ones.
Yeah.
Starting week 4, already week 4. Man.
This is a tough one to predict, I thought, with points this week.
Yes, I agree. Detroit Lions at the Green Bay Packers.
I had the Packers at first at home, and I crossed out because I'm like, I just like this Lions team for some reason, so I'm going to Lions for 8.
I have the Lions for 11, so I'm right there with you. I don't believe in the Packers. The Atlanta Falcons against the Jacksonville Jaguars in London. It's on NFL Plus, so I will not be watching that one.
No, me neither. Jaguars for 4.
I have Jaguars for 6. Probably the game of the day at 1:00 Eastern anyway. It's a shame that we're going to have to watch Zach Wilson on Sunday night and not this matchup. The Miami Dolphins at the Buffalo Bills.
Maybe I'm just basing this off what I saw with my own eyes yesterday, but until the Dolphins actually lose a game, I'm not picking them to lose a game. I'm taking Dolphins for 2.
I have the Dolphins for 5, so I'm even more confident. I am like obnoxiously confident. I just don't think anyone can stop their offense.
Their spacing just unbelievable.
It's going to be a knock them out, drag them out, 45-42 sort of game, I think. This is the game of the week. Denver Broncos at the Chicago Bears.
Are we sure that the NFL's sending a TV crew for this game? Are we sure? I'm an idiot, but I'm taking the Broncos for 1.
I have the Broncos for 4. That's how bad I think. I watched the entire 60 minutes of that game yesterday where the Denver Broncos gave up 70 points, and I still think they're a better team than the Chicago Bears.
The Bears, man, they're just a cycle.
Yeah, right, and then they have the whole scandal. We don't know what it is yet, but their defensive coordinator resigning. They had $100,000 worth of equipment stolen.
Kevin Warren's fault.
Justin Fields calling out your offensive coordinator, and then they show a video of them hugging. It looked like two divorced parents trying to tell their 8-year-old kid that they love each other. Pretty bad there in Chicago.
Yep.
Baltimore Ravens at the Cleveland Browns.
I'm trying to. Oh, there it is. I got the Ravens for 6, and I don't know why, because the Browns are proving me wrong every week.
I have the Ravens for 10. I don't believe in Deshaun Watson, but Baltimore did not look very good yesterday. So the Cincinnati Bengals at the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, I wish I could make this pick after I watched the Bengals play tonight. And
Joe Burrow is playing tonight.
Assuming he's going to be healthy coming out of the game. I don't know, but I have the Bengals for 5.
I'm hedging my bets a little bit and taking the Bengals for only 1 because, again, Burrow is playing tonight, but you don't know if he's going to get hurt even worse. And they haven't looked that good to begin with. So,
nope.
LA Rams at the Indianapolis Colts.
I got the Colts for 3.
Really? I have the Rams for 9.
I don't know why. I think the Rams are a better team, but I don't know. I just think the Colts are going to get done at home.
I think Colts are better set up to win some games this year with Minshew as their quarterback, but for the long haul, it's better if Richardson's back.
Yes.
Tampa Bay Bucks at the New Orleans Saints.
I got the Saints for 9.
Derek Carr could be out, but again, Jameis Winston.
That's fine.
Pretty good. We haven't seen Tampa Bay tonight either, and you picked
I know,
Tampa.
And I picked Tampa, so I don't know what I'm doing here.
Kind of hedging my bets with this one too. If Carr can't go, I am taking the Saints, but only for 2. Washington football team, Washington Commanders at the Philadelphia Eagles.
I've never seen somebody screw up a nickname so bad. I got the Eagles for 15. I'm so embarrassed that the Commanders beat the Broncos.
I have the Eagles for 13. Sam Howell threw 4 picks yesterday.
Yeah.
Minnesota Vikings at the Carolina Panthers.
I have the Vikings for 10.
I have the Vikings for 7. I don't know if Carolina's quarterback, I screw up his last name too.
Bryce Young.
Is back, but Andy Dalton's probably the same as Gardner Minshew. Probably Panthers can win a few games with Dalton, but it's better if Young plays. Minnesota for 7. Pittsburgh Steelers at the Houston Texans.
I had Steelers for 14.
I have the Steelers for 8. Steelers have proved me wrong the past 2 weeks. Vegas Raiders at the LA Chargers.
I got the Chargers for 12.
I have the Chargers for 12 as well. New England Patriots at the Dallas Cowboys.
Cowboys for 11.
Cowboys for 14. I think they bounce back. Arizona Cardinals at the San Francisco 49ers.
Niners for 13.
I have the Niners for 16. Kansas City Chiefs at the New York Jets.
I got the Chiefs for 16.
I have the Chiefs for 15. Seattle Seahawks at the New York Football Giants.
I got the New York Football Giants for 7.
I have the New York Football Giants for 3. Seattle had a nice win yesterday against Carolina.
They did.
Yeah, so that's going to do it for NFL Pick'em this week.
Yep. Well, before we get into the Big Ten Pick'em, I have word association. This week's the battle for the Purdue Cannon between Purdue and Illinois. So I went back the past 12 years and I grabbed either a quarterback, a running back, or a wide receiver that led either Purdue or Illinois in yards and just threw it out there. And hopefully you know all these guys. Starting last year with Devin Mockabee.
The first thing old Ryan Walters did when he got there was put him on scholarship, which was smart because he ran all over pretty much everyone.
He did. He's having a little bit of a rough year this year. He's having some ball security issues, but
Purdue's offensive line's pretty bad, right?
Yeah, it's not ideal. They finally got their center back this past week. That'll help. He had been out the first 3 weeks, but Hudson Card's been kind of running for his life. So.
Ball security.
2021, Josh McCray.
Josh McCray, he got hurt last year and had to redshirt, and then he was off to a slow start this year, but he had a pretty good game, I guess, against Florida Atlantic. Big bruiser, looks like your typical Bielema running back, 6'2", 240.
2020, Chase Brown.
Chase Brown, he's playing with the Cincinnati Bengals, 1,600 yards last year, one of their better running backs they've had this century.
2019, Xander Horvath.
Xander Horvath, man, I can't believe he had a cup of coffee in the – is he still in the
He's on the Steelers practice squad now after being on the 53-man roster of the Chargers all year last year.
Yeah, had a couple touchdowns too. Fullback for him. So,
2018, A.J. Bush.
Oh, man, those were some dark days for Illinois. I think that was – what year was that?
2018, that was a butt whooping by Purdue up in Champaign.
team. That was a 3-9 Illinois team, maybe. Bush was a running back that they had to play quarterback. Couldn't throw to save his life, but pretty athletic.
Yeah, he led them in rushing and passing that day.
Yeah. He was technically a quarterback, but he was more of a runner.
2017, David Blau.
David Blau, is he still hanging around?
He is back. He was on Arizona last year. He's back in Detroit again on the practice squad. So
that game we went to against Missouri, wasn't that like the all-time single game passing record?
Yeah, he and Drew Lock put up a show that night.
Yeah, that was fun.
2016, Malik Turner.
He hung around the NFL for a few years, Cowboys, Seahawks. Pretty good wide receiver on a real bad Illinois team. I think they won 2 games that year.
Yeah, that was Hazel's last win at Purdue that game.
Overtime, right?
Yes. This was a butt whooping 2015 that you were there with me and Ross Sade. Keyshawn Vaughn.
Keyshawn Vaughn, fantastic freshman year at Illinois. I thought he was going to be the next superstar running back there at Illinois. I'll never forget my dad and I were at the North Carolina game. First play of the game, 80-yard touchdown run. Place was rocking. Ends up transferring to Vandy, and now he's in the NFL with the. He was with the Bucks. I don't think he's done a whole lot in his career though.
2014, Mikey Dudek.
Mikey Dudek, man, what could have been? That dude caught everything in his vicinity. 1,000 yards receiving his true freshman year, and then he just kept blowing his ACL out.
That was a Purdue win that year, led by Austin Appleby that game in Champaign. So Hazel beat 2 of his 9 wins were against Illinois. 2013, Danny Etling.
Danny Etling, man, LSU's finest right there.
I don't think he's in the NFL anymore. He was for a while, bouncing around a bunch of different practice squads.
Yeah, a bunch of practice squads. He was okay at LSU.
Yeah.
It helps when you had a lot of talent around you.
Right. 2012, Robert Marv.
Robert Marv, man, he came in with so much hype. I've never seen him more excited about a quarterback. And he was just okay.
Yep, a lot of injuries. In his career on a good note there at Purdue. 2011, A.J. Jenkins.
Oh, man. Surprise first-round pick of the Niners. That was a bad Harbaugh pick. But he had a great senior year. I think he had over 200 yards receiving against Northwestern and a shellacking. Caught a game-winning touchdown against Arizona State, a game I was at. So he was a good one.
And last one, a guy we've talked about quite a bit, I feel like, on this podcast, 2010, Nathan Shieldhouse.
Shieldhouse, offensive coordinator for Iowa State, and they're struggling to score points, so he might not last there very much longer. But he great as a freshman, bad when Beckman took over, bounced back when Bill Cubit became offensive coordinator, and he was always a very likable guy too.
And that's going to do it for the Word Associated segment, which is brought to you by Proforma Print 2 Promo Group. If you're looking for a trustworthy, dependable resource for your next trade show, company picnic, or a sales meeting, Proforma Print 2 Promo Group has over 50 years combined experience in promotional products and commercial print. They strive for fast and efficient response to all your print needs, so you need to look no further. Let them be your one-source print and promotional company today by giving Barbara Van Weinsberg a call at 574-210-3815.
You beat me in Pick'em.
Thank you, Buckeyes.
Yeah, mainly due to Ohio State, but also you had less points on Minnesota than I did, so that would have won you a game anyway. That was pretty bad. Speaking of Minnesota, up 31-10 in the fourth quarter against the worst team, maybe in the Power 5. You blow that one and lose in overtime.
Yeah, I was kind of checking the score, and Northwestern just kind of kept chipping away. I'm like, they're making this thing interesting, and then
yeah, I thought, and the funny thing was Minnesota punted the ball away, and the guy's going down there to get it and pin him at the 1 yard and lost track of where he was. And he was like 2 yards in the end zone, and he gets it, and he starts to celebrate, and he realizes where he's at, and it's a touchback. And that's probably what lost him the game, honestly. But that is a putrid loss for Minnesota.
Bad loss for PJ Fleck, and a bad loss for a team that was hoping to be in the running for the Big Ten West, which is just an atrocious division.
Oh, it's garbage, man.
It's really bad.
It's still wide open. I think Wisconsin's the best team in it.
I do too.
Iowa can't score points at all. Brian should be fired now, but his daddy won't do it. They had 3 first downs in that game against Penn State. They only ran 33 plays to Penn State's 96.
I know, that's absurd.
It was as bad. We had 2 TVs going. We had the Iowa Penn State and then the Notre Dame Ohio State. And my guilty pleasure is watching how bad the Iowa offense is. It's funny to watch.
Yeah, I hope it continues like that. It would not hurt my feelings. But a whiteout at Penn State at night's one of the coolest environments in all of sports.
I was surprised coming into that game. They were only 8-6 in whiteouts, but then I got thinking, well, they probably usually play Ohio State, Michigan.
Right, they do a really good opponent. Yeah, but I think Penn State's not only the best team in the Big Ten. I think they're the best team in the country right now.
Really?
I do. They've impressed me more than anybody I've seen play.
Better than Georgia, better than
Georgia hadn't really impressed me yet too much. I mean, because the only, South Carolina, they didn't play that great, and they haven't played anybody else. UAB, I mean, they haven't played anybody.
Yeah, Florida State's kind of by the skin of their teeth.
Yeah, but doing what you got to do, and Ohio State got a huge win for them. What a game the other night. Yes. I mean, it wasn't the prettiest of game. I mean, a lot of missed tackles between both teams, which Notre Dame's missed like a crazy amount of tackles this year with all their talent. But it lived up to the hype, college game day, to the bigger brands, college football, to the bigger fan bases. To come down to literally the last play. Pretty crazy stuff.
Where Notre Dame only had 10 players on the field.
Yeah, that's a big oops by Marcus Freeman, and he realized that and didn't do anything about it.
Yeah, honestly, at that point, you might as well run somebody on, and if you get a penalty, who cares? Half the distance of the goal moves you an inch.
Right, and at least you can cover that gap, which they went right through.
Yeah, right through that. Yeah.
Marvin Harrison Jr. is just a baller, man. That guy.
Yeah.
And so is Ibuka.
So. Oh, yeah, he's just good.
And Henderson.
Yeah, and that Kyle McCord showed a lot.
He showed some guts on that last drive.
Yeah, huge. It was like a 3rd and 17 or 3rd and 17. Yeah. Picks up 19 to get down to the 1 yard line.
Yeah.
So yeah, he made some big throws on that final drive. So.
Yeah, big win for the Buckeyes. Win for the Buckeyes. Elsewhere around the Big Ten, a lot of teams took care of business when needed. Indiana scraped by double overtime win against Akron, which Akron had a head-on chip shot for 31 yards, and kid couldn't make it. Good friend of the podcast, Cameron Screeton, who's a diehard Indiana basketball and football fan. I got to respect that because a lot of their basketball fans don't like their football program. They like Notre Dame football. He said they've beat 4 FBS opponents since the start of 2022, and 3 of them have missed game-winning field goals, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. And then Purdue, Wisconsin, same old.
Yep.
New year, same story. Purdue cannot afford to keep getting off these slow starts. Played pretty well in the second half on both sides of the ball, especially on offense, but they just can't afford to get off these slow starts. They're not built to dig themselves out of a hole. I don't think Ryan Walters has the dudes on defense yet to run the system he wants. But contrary to what a lot of Purdue fans want, I'm fine with that if it pays dividends in the program in the long run. A lot of them, no, you should switch it up right now, win this year. I'm like, if it pays dividends and gets Purdue really competitive the next couple of years, I'm fine with it. But in the offense though, they're very good at moving the ball in the opponent's territory. Then they shoot themselves in the foot. They got to stop that too. They're just not good enough to get away with beating themselves per se. So, yep.
Pick them this week. We have Penn State at Northwestern.
Taking the Nittany Lions for 6. Only 7 Big Ten games this week.
Yeah, I have Penn State for 7. That'll be a whooping. Louisiana at Minnesota.
Taking Minnesota for 5, but I saw they're only single-digit favorites in this one.
Yeah. I got Minnesota for 4. Michigan at Nebraska.
I'm taking Michigan for 3. I think this one could be a little tight.
Give me Michigan for 5. Michigan, I still don't think looked overly impressive. Their schedule's been very weak. First minute of the game, they gave up a long touchdown to Rutgers, and they didn't give up anything the rest.
That place will be rocking.
It will be, yeah. Indiana at Maryland.
Take Maryland for 4. Maryland's a sleeper in the East nobody's talking about.
Yeah, they're good. Give me Maryland for 3. Wagner at Rutgers.
Give me Rutgers for 7.
I've Rutgers for 6. Michigan State at Iowa.
It's the night game. The Illinois-Purdue game got flexed out of the night spot on NBC and back on 3:30 on the Peacock. I'm taking the Hawkeyes for 2.
I have Iowa for 2 as well. If they can't beat Michigan State, maybe Kirk needs to be gone too. In the game of the week, we got the Suckfest. Illinois at Purdue.
The battle for the Purdue Cannon. Purdue's won 3 straight, and Purdue's had pretty good luck in this series. They've won 14 of the last 20, I think, if my math was correct. But it's usually a pretty close game. I'm taking Purdue for 1.
The Tan and J-Man show will be at the game.
Yes.
this weekend. I haven't been doing Illinois football games since 2016, so I've lost interest, to be honest. But it'll be kind of nice to get back out there.
It's supposed to be a nice day, so
it is. Illinois had 510 yards of total offense against Florida Atlantic and only 23 points, which is pretty bad. Both offensive lines brutal. I think Illinois has more dudes on the defensive line. Give me Illinois for one. I think this is as much of a coin flip game as we could possibly get.
I'm real interested in this series going forward because I think it's going to turn into a rivalry, not just a geographical rivalry. I think there's respect among coaching staffs, but there might be a little chippiness too. I wouldn't be surprised.
I think I wonder if Walters and Bielema were playing it up a little more in the offseason than it was led to believe.
Yeah.
Aaron Henry today, Illinois' defensive coordinator, said that this isn't about me and Walters. He's my dude. I wouldn't even have this opportunity if it wasn't for him. So I'm looking forward to go against him. So it's all
should be fun.
It's all
should be fun.
Yeah, you beat me in Pick'em. I finally lost more than one game, which was and it had been Purdue had been screwing me over. But what else we got? Some top 25 games on Friday night. We have number 10 Utah at number 19 Oregon State.
Oregon State, tough loss against Washington State. I like this Utah team. Give me Utah.
Give me Utah as well. USC at Colorado. USC's 21.5-point faves.
Thank you, Oregon. Thank you, Oregon. I enjoyed that. The bad weekend for Colorado sports. Give me USC.
Give me USC. I think they cover. It was very nice to see Colorado get humbled a little bit, and I could see them end up like 5-7, 6-6, hopefully. Number 22, Florida at Kentucky. Kentucky's not ranked. But they are favored.
I like Kentucky in this one.
Yeah, give me Kentucky as well. Number 1, Georgia at Auburn.
Georgia.
Give me Georgia. Number 24, Kansas at number 3, Texas.
Yeah, Kansas has got Texas in the past, but give me the Longhorns.
Yeah, not this year. Give me the Longhorns as well. Number 13, LSU at number 20, Ole Mississippi.
Yeah, good win for LSU over Arkansas the other day. Ole Miss lost a weird game against Alabama. Give me Ole Miss.
Give me Ole Miss. Oh, man, you took Ole Miss. I figured you were going to take LSU.
No, I don't like Brian Kelly.
No, give me Ole Miss. I'm liking Ole Miss as well. Number 11, Notre Dame at number 17, Duke.
This was in my preseason predictions. I have Duke finishing third in ACC. I had them beating Notre Dame. Game day first time in Durham. I'm sticking to it. I like the Blue Devils.
Give me Notre Dame. I think they bounce back.
They need to if they want to make the playoff. They have to run the table.
They have to. And that is going to do it for top 25 games this week.
Hit me up with that Birdie or Bogey again so I can have a minute.
Birdie Bogey. Patty Mahomes, your favorite quarterback.
Oh, yeah, just my favorite. Now we got Taylor Swift as a Chiefs fan. I hate everything.
I'm already sick of the Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce rumor. This is not
I'm looking forward to her next album when it's all about Travis.
It will be interesting to see how she makes some like football terms, mixes football terms into her next album.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be fun. Patty Mahomes became the quickest quarterback ever to throw for 25,000 yards, passing what quarterback? This quarterback, Patrick Mahomes did it in 83 games. The quarterback he passed did it in 90.
Oh my gosh, it's so hard. So many guys come to mind. 90 games, 25,000 yards. Come on, Tanner. Think. 90 games, 25,000 yards. 25,000 yards, 90 games. Gotta think it's a kind of a newer guy who throws for a lot of yards. 90 games. Man, I'm blanking. Man, I don't think it's him. I'm gonna go Tom Brady.
Oh, bad guess. Matthew Stafford.
Didn't even come to my mind.
Brady didn't throw that many yards when he was.
I know. He's choking. Stafford. I should have known that. He throws for a lot of yards.
I thought you might say Marino or
Thought about it.
even Derek Carr.
Peyton Manning, I thought about.
Or even Peyton, yeah.
Back to 4 down.
Thanks for watching the Tan and J-Man show. Hopefully for Tanner's mental health, the Broncos don't give up 70 points again.
Oh, if they did that against the Bears.
Oh, man. Have a fantastic week, everybody. We'll be back at it next Monday with another episode of the Tan and J-Man show.